Welcome to this new video where I'm gonna talk about oversteering and analyze some techniques that could save your race. Well, let me say I'm not a professional in this area, but I know something about physics and I put it together with some simple logic, and I think I've got something to say, even because I looked on YouTube some tutorials about this, but strangely I couldn't find any mention about what I'm gonna say, at least some of the points. It's weird because I'm pretty convinced that many professional drivers, racers know and apply it, but for some unknown reason I don't see it. Please note that I choose these cars because the grip is quite low and most things happen at a slower pace and they are easier to analyze. Of course, countersteering is the first and easier way that everyone knows. So if you lose the grip on the rear side of the car, just turn your steering wheel by the opposite side so that the nose follows. Of course, this technique is efficient, it works, but it takes care to be applied because too much countersteering will spin you by the other side, and insufficient countersteering, well, it goes without saying, it won't save you. Please note that in this case I'm talking about rear-wheel drive cars. I didn't mention, but I think it's quite obvious. Second technique is quite brutal, and it consists in turning your front wheels into skids, so that if your rear tires are losing grip more than you expect, you make front tires lose grip by making them really literally like skids. You can see in this slow motion that I'm pushing the throttle pedal together with the brake pedal quite strongly. The right front wheel locks up. You will notice some smoke in the rear view mirror, and the front of the car goes, it tends to escape. So this technique is not easy to control. It saves the day because you don't spin, but you lose control, you lose grip unexpectedly. You may notice here that the front tires go far beyond their slip angle because, as I mentioned before, this is a brutal way just to save from a spin. Here the wheels don't completely lock. Yes, maybe the front right wheel for a very short time. It works, but it will damage your tires. So it's just a desperate way to prevent from spinning. Third technique, I didn't have a name for it, so I nicknamed it super steering. Yeah, because here are counter steering, but watch this, I'm steering by the inside of the turn. What? Yes, that's true, and it has an explanation. If you turn the steering wheel by the inside of the turn, you exceed the slip angle of the front tires, and as you should know, and if you don't know it, I'm telling you right now, when the slip angle increases very much, the grip of the tires gets very low. So it's more like as squeezing the brake and locking up front wheels. As you may notice in this replay at an even slower speed, the speed you can see on the gauge on the left goes down like braking, but instead of pushing the brake and locking up the tires, in this case the wheels keep turning and they don't get damaged. The fourth point is not really a remedy, it's prevention. I nicknamed it natural traction control, even though these cars don't have traction control. If you have it, if you like racing with traction control, well, it's up to you, but if you like handling everything, well, this is a technique. You may have noticed that in this corner I faced it in the first gear and then switched to second. I had to do a lot of careful management of the throttle. And I even lost some control. Now I'm facing the same turn in second gear, which is wrong in theory. The motor is revving low, the torque is very low, but I can't push the pedal nearly all the way down very early, and the natural torque curve of the motor will help the rear wheel to keep the traction, keep the grip. In this case as well, I'm in first gear. I have to counter steer and be careful with the throttle. And the car on my right, who made a better exit, is in front of me. While the same turn in the second gear, in this case, again, the motor is revving very low. I almost push down full throttle, just a quick, brief correction, and I'm out. And I don't have to shift one more gear. So the time I may lose because the acceleration is not the best I could achieve is saved with the time of one more shifting. You can also see it here. Okay, entering, I have got a car on my left and suddenly he's getting left behind. The reason is very simple. I'm keep accelerating, even if he was in the first gear and had a better acceleration, he had to shift and was left behind. Okay, I wish this can be helpful, because of course, oh yes, a little recap before the conclusion. The ideal turn is completed with the steering wheel almost centered and the four-wheeled mildly drifting away, because a mild drift is the condition where the tires are giving you the best grip, and in this, if you can manage to make the turns in this way, you have the highest speed out of the corners. But even if you're not the fastest on the track, well, it's really frustrating if you end up throwing a whole race away just because you end up in a spin or get out of the track. So I hope that the techniques I've been talking about in this video can be helpful, can be applied after some practice, at least to finish the race together with the pack and not lose contact or maybe get your car damaged. Of course, this could be applied to all cars. Of course, cars with a very high grip and downforce maybe will be a lot trickier to be driven, because everything will happen at a faster pace, but in theory and probably in practice, cars' behavior with rear-wheel drive and well, not open wheels, but and this car structure, should behave in the same way.